All right. Well, welcome everybody to our June customer webinar. I like to do these webinars every month and have a chance to chat with you guys and share what we're working on and what's new, and answer any questions you guys have too. We always have lots of great discussions going on. I like to see a lot of familiar names and faces here. So let's go ahead and kick it off. For today, we've got everybody on the line from our side of the GetFiveStars team. And we just came out of some planning meetings with some exciting new stuff that they're planning for you, cooking up in terms of the product and the company. So we're excited about that. We had a meeting in San Francisco just these past few days, and had a lot of really cool ideas coming from there. But for today, what I want to talk about is a few things. One is point-and-click integration with GetFiveStars. This is something that we have found, the customers, our customers that are the most successful have some sort of an integration, and so we're always trying to raise the bar in terms of making it, from our side, making it easier and easier to integrate from more and more ways. So easy to get customers into the system and automate the whole process so that there isn't, it just minimizes the manual interaction. Also have a new feature I wanted to show you guys that it is now live and out there. You may or may not have seen it yet. It's just been out for a couple of days. And then a Q&A. So let's get started. So the question I have for you guys, anybody who's willing to kind of chime in or let me know, have you connected GetFiveStars to another system? I'm curious. I mean, we have a lot of people that do. I'd like to see more people. Mark says yes. Great. I see a couple of yeses in there. Already using Zapier, which is very cool. Great. Yeah, so I mean, we have a variety of APIs. We've got some of our bigger customers who talk directly to our API. We have a REST API. We have a webhooks API that we use to connect with some point of sale systems and other types of systems. And then we have Zapier, which it looks like some of you are familiar with already. And that's what I want to talk about today, because we've been working on our Zapier integration, and Thomas and Mike Murphy and myself, we've been working to add to that and do some cool things with it. So I wanted to talk about that a little bit today, because one of the answers to people who say, I want to get the most out of the system, and what we're finding is the best way to do that is to automate the process of adding the customers. So if you've got another system that you have your customers in, connecting that with GetFiveStars can automate the whole thing. You don't have to worry about adding customers manually or uploading a spreadsheet or any of that stuff. It just happens. And once that just becomes part of the process, then boom, like the feedback and the reviews and everything just start rolling in a lot faster and more consistently over time, which is important for all kinds of things. And whether that's social proof or search rankings or trust or any of those. So all right, so with the integration that we've done with Zapier, it opens up integrations to over 500 different systems, right? So anything that connects into Zapier, you can connect to GetFiveStars, point and click, no code involved. And we're excited because we've been doing that for a while. Like I see Mark and some others are already doing this, but we're adding more features into it as well. And so for those of you who are not doing it, I also wanted to just, ask you to take another look at it. If you have a system, you can explore in Zapier and look through all this huge library of apps to connect, and we can basically connect with any of those, right? And as you'll see in a minute, we've created some recipes to connect more, really easily with a few of these. But one thing I want to emphasize is you can connect with any of them in Zapier, but we've almost kind of made it packaged up some of the integrations to make it easier, and so we're wide open. We can add more of those depending on what you're looking for. So a couple of examples of the ones that we've already created are connecting QuickBooks Online to GetFiveStars. So let's say you're using QuickBooks for your invoicing, and you want to send out a feedback request to a customer after you invoice them, right? After you create a new invoice, that you could just click on use this Zap if you have a Zapier account, and boom, would walk. It's all almost like a pre-made recipe. Same thing with FreshBooks. Like we use FreshBooks and QuickBooks Online for our business, and same thing. You create an invoice in FreshBooks, boom, it can create a feedback request, and you can set it up so that it just adds the customer, or so that it creates an entire feedback request and sends it out right away. And so that's easy. We've got the shared apps for that. We've got 4 published right now: FreshBooks, QuickBooks Online, Google Sheets, where some people keep track of things in a Google Sheet, and then boom, whenever you add a new row to the sheet, boom, it sets up a feedback request or as a customer to get 5 stars, or MailChimp. So if you added new subscribers to your MailChimp list, that could automatically add them in to get 5 stars. So these are pre-configured. And what's a little confusing about Zapier is once you're connected in, like we are with Zapier, it means you can talk to any of the other apps, but then Zapier asks you to put some of these recipes, or what they call them, Zap templates, together, just to give people ideas. So they go, oh, wow, okay, I didn't think about that, right? I could use it in this way or in that way. So I wanted to do that. I'm going to jump ahead a little bit. Well, here, let me just show you how this works real quick. And I do want to mention, though, that the way Zapier works is there are a number of actions and then triggers. And the demo I'm going to show you is an action where basically somebody is going to go in and they're going to, something's going to happen in another system, and there's going to be a trigger that creates an action in GetFiveStars. So that means the feedback request gets created. We're adding, that's what Mike Murphy on our customer success team and Thomas are working on, as well as some of our engineers, to work on creating triggers so that actions that happen inside of GetFiveStars can trigger things to happen in other systems, and I'll talk about those in a minute. So let me just jump over, though. I'm just only take a minute. I just kind of want to give you an idea of how this works. So all I need to do, if I have a Zapier account, and they have a free account, right? For certain apps like QuickBooks Online, they do require like a starter plan paid account, which isn't very expensive. I think it's $20 a month. But a lot of these you can do, including GetFiveStars, you can use the free account with. So literally once you're logged in, you click the Make a Zap button, you search for your app. I'm going to use FreshBooks here just as an example and show you that I want to connect from FreshBooks to get 5 stars. And I'm going to, now FreshBooks, basically when they did their Zapier integration, they said, we're going to expose these triggers. Whenever a new client is created, that could be a trigger. Whenever a new invoice is created, that could be a trigger. Whenever a new payment is created, that could be a trigger too. So you might want to connect the feedback request to payment, or you might want to connect it to when a new invoice is created. I'm going to connect it to new invoice. So again, these are published by FreshBooks, right? I'm going to say continue, and it's now I'm going to connect Zapier to my FreshBooks account, which I already did. You just press the connect an account, and then you authenticate it with FreshBooks, and you're good to go. So I'm not going to go through that again. It's just a very quick process to connect it to the FreshBooks and say continue, and then that's it. I'm just going to say continue. That was just an option. Remove empty line items so that it doesn't send them over. And that's it. And then I'm going to say, okay, go ahead. It's going to say, make sure you've got one invoice created so you can test it out. So I'm going to go over here and create an invoice real quick. So I'm in FreshBooks now, and I'm going to say, create an invoice. And I created a kind of a fake customer with my email address in it just to show you how it works. It's an invoice number, a PO number. I'm going to go ahead and say that we did some research. And then I'm going to say at 150, whoops, not 1,500, 150 an hour times 3 hours. So it's like $450 invoice. Then I'm going to say, let me go ahead and send this invoice. And that's it. I'm going to do that inside of FreshBooks and send it. Now, what Zapier just asked me to do while I was setting this up is said, please go and make sure you've got a new invoice in there so that we can test it. So that's what I've done. As I'm walking through building this integration, I've gone in and said, okay, Let's go ahead and say fetch and continue. And that's it. Now it says, okay, I got it. You know, I've got your invoice, and you can look at it if you want. But it just wants to kind of do a test and make sure that the connection is there. Then I'm going to say, go ahead. I'm going to say, what's the action app? Let's do get 5 stars. So I'm going to say, now we have one action right now, and we're publishing some new ones, which I'll tell you about in just a minute. And this action allows you to create a new customer. And so that's what we want to do when the invoice is sent. We want to create the customer. And here it's just basically saying, it's just saying which account do you want to use. I've already authenticated. In fact, maybe I'm just going to show you how that works real quick when I want to connect a new account. So when I go in here, it's basically asking me for two things. It's saying, what's your client ID and your API key? And let me just show you where you get that in GetFiveStars. Once you're logged into GetFiveStars and you're in a particular location, then I'm going to go to account owner details. And when I go there, that's where I get my client ID and my API key. And I'm literally going to copy and paste those into these fields. So the client ID goes here, and then the API key goes here, and then I say continue, and then boom, I have now in Zapier, I have my account that's connected. And you can see I've connected several accounts here, but right now I'm going to use this one that I just created, save and continue. Now it's basically saying, okay, there are a few things I want to ask you about. I'm going to say, you know, do I want to send the feedback request right away or not? Yes, I want to do that. Which location is this associated with? I want it to be associated with this, and it gives me a list of all my locations. I want to pick this one, Aaron's Auto. So now it's allowing me to map the fields from the FreshBooks invoice and say, so for the customer email, I want to take this. For the customer first name, I'm going to take it from first name. For last name, I'm going to take it from last name. And then I can map even the phone number, and I'm going to say, give me the mobile phone, which I think I entered in down here. There's the mobile phone. And so basically it's giving me all the fields from that invoice. And this only happens one time, by the way. Like once I set this up, then boom, it just knows how to map everything. So it's literally point and click mapping. I'm going to say continue. And that's it. So it's saying, hey, I'm going to test this and create a new customer for you, right? I'm going to say create and continue. And it's going in right now and it's creating that customer. So if I go back now to my account and I look in the Aaron's Auto location, it might take just a minute. I'm probably jumping the gun. Well, here it is. So here's the new customer that was created. And it's already sitting out there waiting for me. So this was created, and if I go into it and take a look, you'll see it's got my email address, my mobile phone number, and my communication preference, everything that was right off of that invoice. So that's pretty cool. It also sent the feedback request. So give me just a second and I'll pull up my email and show that to you. I want to just show you that it automatically, in this case, sent the feedback request as well. So you can see in my email here, I've got the feedback request already, so it just automatically fired it off. That's an option that you can turn on or off, by the way. So pretty cool, right? I mean, and once this is set up, now I can say finish. I give it a name and say my new invoice creation or something, or FreshBooks invoice create feedback request. And you can make multiple zaps, and then you just turn it on, and then boom, it's going to check every 15 minutes. And now anytime that a new invoice is created in my FreshBooks account, it's going to go ahead and add that customer to GetFiveStars and send the feedback request, and that's it. So really straightforward. You know, as I just wanted to kind of walk you through one example of how easy it is. I don't have to know how to program. All I need to know is my credentials to get into FreshBooks and into GetFiveStars, and that's it. So pretty exciting. You know, our actions, as we just saw, are that we have currently are adding a customer and then adding a customer and sending feedback requests right away. But what we're ready to publish now, and Zapier is taking us out of beta because we have enough people using it now, and they're excited that we've got a lot of customers using this, and that we're adding these new triggers. So we're adding a trigger, just to give you an example, is it, let's say that you used a tool like Help Scout or something, or Zendesk, right? You could create a new ticket, a new support ticket, whenever feedback was less than a certain number. So let's say somebody on the 0 to 10 scale rated you below a 7, then you could automatically have a Help Scout ticket created, or a Zendesk ticket. Or maybe when feedback is greater than, then it could be another, like what Mike Blumenthal wants to do is he wants to say anytime, like what if I wanted to add all my promoters to a list in MailChimp, and then all my neutral and all my detractors, I could add them to a different list in MailChimp anytime when a new customer is added. So essentially it doesn't have to be one of these, it could be any of the apps that's in Zapier. So I could create this trigger to call any app when feedback is received. And so that's our next up addition. We have that done, and we're just going through the approval process with Zapier right now. Zapier is kind of cool. They make you, they're very, very thorough, but then, which is a lot of work, but that means you can really depend on these things working because they've been well tested and well documented by the time they get into the directory. So that's what we're working on right now, so that now you'll also have triggers in addition to the actions with GetFiveStars. So pretty excited about that. One thing though I would like to ask is if any of you have ideas on what else you would like to see. We can literally do anything. Now that we have triggers and actions all wired in Zapier, we can add all kinds of other things depending on what you guys need to see. So if there's something that you want to see, or using Zapier and you're like, boy, I wish that you could also trigger this, let us know, and chances are that's something we can add and make it easy for you. And like I said, we're always trying to improve these integrations and make it as easier and easier for you guys to make systems talk together. So any ideas or questions, just feel free to let me know anytime. In addition to Zapier, we're also integrating with many other systems, point of sale systems, CRM systems. We've got direct APIs for what they call REST APIs and webhooks, and we've got a very robust way of connecting with other apps. So make sure to talk to us if you've got an app you'd like to see, or if you're working with a client. Like a lot of our agency customers, like resellers, they're working with certain types of industries, like maybe they're working with dentists or insurance agents. If you see a system that comes up a lot that they have their customers in, then tell us and we'll integrate with it. Most likely, I mean, some of these systems are older and they don't like integrations, but most of the current systems are easy to integrate with. So yeah, so that's the thing with integrations. Please think about it. Take another look if you're not using it. I know many of you are, but check it out. All right, so there's another, in fact, one thing before we move on, I wanted to ask, because Mark brought up about ShipStation. He said he's integrated it with ShipStation. What is, that's one I haven't seen before. ShipStation, is that like a packaging and shipping sort of app where you can track when a product is shipped? Or, okay, cool. That's a cool idea. I hadn't thought about that. So you use that software to track the fact that you've packaged and shipped something to a customer, and then that's a great place to attach a feedback request. You can send out the request. That's cool. I like that. All right, good deal. So what I wanted to do now is, oh yeah, he says we send the GetFiveStars a week after we ship it so that we're sure they already have the item. That's cool. That's a good idea. The delay is definitely, you want to make sure you don't send it to them before they get it. We've had that with point of sale systems too, where like with food or something, or carry out, want to make sure that the customer's already got their pizza before you send them a feedback request. So it's good. All right, so here's another feature we've been working on in the labs, and it is published now. You may or may not have noticed this yet, but a lot of you have been asking for this. It's social sharing. So basically on your testimonials widget, you're going to see these new sharing options. so that anyone could then take a testimonial. You could do it, or one of your customers might. I mean, we're kind of envisioning, I think most of the asks have been just so that as a business owner, I could go in and pick some of the testimonials I like, share them on Facebook, share them on Google Plus or on LinkedIn or Twitter or something like that. Of course, a customer could do it as well, but we've added this new sharing icon or sharing menu in your testimonials widget. And you have full control. You can turn this on or off, whatever you want to do. Let me just show you how it works. So basically, I am sitting here looking at my testimonials page, and here are my testimonials. And what you're going to see now is a new little sharing menu by every testimonial. So each testimonial has the ability to share it. I can go in here and say, let me pick one of these. I guess I'll just pick the second one here. So I say share, and then you'll see these little icons that pop up. So I can share it on Facebook or on Twitter or on LinkedIn or on Google Plus. And when you do click on one of these, then what we try to do is based on the service, all these services are different, we try to pull in a nice image for you and then include the actual testimonial, and then you can just make a comment on it. So you could then take that and say, oh, I'm just going to add a comment to it. Maybe would say, hey, thanks, or see what our customers are saying about us, or thanks for the kind words, or whatever you want to put in there. So that's Google Plus. You can do it with Twitter, with Facebook, LinkedIn, or Google Plus. Now the Twitter one is a little bit different because you can't see the image in this mock-up, but the image shows up on the tweet when you actually tweet it. So that's just a limitation of the Twitter. We looked at this every way we could, and I guess they don't allow you to do that, to preview it with the image, but you can preview the tweet and decide if you want to tweet it out, but the image only shows up when you actually do the tweet. And so what I wanted to show you is, I wanted to show you about this and say it's turned on in your testimonials widget, but you do have control if you decide I don't want this in there for some reason. You can also control what the image is that the service picks up to share. So let me just show you how that works. What you want to do is go to the testimonials widget settings when you're logged into one of your locations, and then when you go into these settings and you expand that out, you're going to see this new section here that says include a share button with each testimonial. And so I can turn that off and they're not going to show up anymore. So basically if I turn that off, then oops, sorry about that, then the whole share menu thing isn't going to show up anymore if I were to refresh this. We have some caching that goes on with our widgets to make them fast, but basically if I turn that off, you see it's just the share menu is just gone. So what I want to do is turn that on just to show you guys. And we've turned it on, by the way, for everybody, but you can then, if you decide you don't want it, you can turn it off. And then you also have the ability to specify a sharing image. And there's, what we have found with working on these different services is that you want to have an image that is basically 1024 by 512 pixels. That's the best image size for the sharing. And if you specify that sharing image here, then we'll include that, we'll pass that along so that when you're a customer or when you share the testimonial, that this nice image is included with it. So that's all you need to do. It'll look really good on Retina displays, like on really nice iPhones or whatever, or new Pixel phones. It also is large enough for full width areas when you're sharing on like Facebook or Google Plus. Twitter will show it when you tweet, but you, like I said, you're not going to see it in the preview. And then LinkedIn is a little bit of a strange animal. They'll actually pull an image from your website, but it does not accept share images. So LinkedIn is a little bit different animal. So they all have their little caveats, but what we've found is specifying a nice image here helps a lot. And if you decide you don't want to share, you don't have to, you can just clear this out or just don't upload one in the first place. Or if you do upload, you can just clear it. So that's it. But anyway, we think that's kind of a nice feature a lot of you have been asking for, and so we wanted to at least let you know during the webinar that it is out there now and ready to roll for you. And we've already got a few people noticed it and had some really good feedback for us on it. So give it a try and let us know what you think. All right, please do. like I said, when you first turn it on, like if you're using WordPress, like right now I'm using WordPress and my widget is cached. So it is turned on. It just takes a minute. You have to kind of reload the cache. Like you might have to go into your WordPress plugin and say, hey, reset the cache, because a lot of those plugins will cache the page just to make it load faster. All right, so that's social sharing. Any questions about that? Has anybody noticed that out there, or those of you that were waiting for social sharing, was that kind of what you had in mind? I mean, we've got some really good feedback so far. I hope that this is something that you guys are looking forward to. Let's see. The only other thing I wanted to mention here is I wanted to talk about tagging. I covered this in the last webinar, but just in case you weren't here, this is something that we launched last month. But we're finding is a lot of people were waiting for this and wanted it. And so I just thought I'd mention it one more time, is that you can now tag your customers and your feedback, and then you can show different feedback on different areas of your website. So that's what this allows you to do. And it's pretty straightforward to set up. Basically, you go into your customers, you add tags to the feedback, and then you can generate some custom testimonial widgets that you can put on different parts of your website. So definitely give that a try if you haven't used it. I'll just show you real quick how you do it. Super straightforward. What I can do is go into my customer dashboard. I can go to any of my, like maybe I go to this new feedback request, or I can go to existing feedback, and then I can go in here and add tags to it. So I can, in this case, I had created tags for sales and service. I can also create new tags for, I don't know, I'm just making this up, but you can make new tags on the fly. You can choose from existing tags, things like that. And that allows you to, and unfortunately I've lost my mouse cursor, so there it is. Yeah, and so I can add it this way. I can cycle through my customers with the previous and the next buttons very quickly if I want to add them. And I can move through. I can also go to my customer dashboard and filter on these tags. So I can say, show me all the people that I've tagged as, they came in for a new car, or in this case, maybe these people came in for service. And so I can basically go through and filter based on that. And so now I am starting to segment my customers, right? I have different customers that came in for sale, different for service, and now maybe I wanted to just put on one page of my website, just show the testimonials that are related to my service department. And then in a different page, the ones that are related to my sales department. So I literally just go into the testimonials widget. I need to give it the URL of my testimonials page. So this is like my main testimonials page, and I'm going to show you what I mean here. So this is my primary testimonials page, but I have a separate widget set up for sales and service. So I'm giving this URL of my primary page so the other ones can link to it. So like if I go into my service testimonials now, this will link to my main page, all right? So once I've got my main widget set up, I can then go into these tag testimonials widgets, and I can create new widgets based on what I want to tag. So in this case, here's a service widget that I created. I called it service. I applied the service tag to it, and then I just grabbed the code and I dropped that on my website. So that's how I could create a special tag here, a special page here that's just going to show me the service testimonials. Does that make sense? So if you're not using this, give it a try. We've had a lot of people fired up about this and they're using it, and it's great for just segmenting your customer feedback, showing creating location pages, creating pages for different departments or different products or whatever it is. And what's nice about these is that then they will then link to the main page as well. So because, for example, if I look at this widget, I'm in service, I go down here and I say, oh, well, I can click through from here to the main testimonials page. Click through, and now it's going to take me to all the testimonials on this site. And just to let you, just in case I skipped over this before, you can control what the anchor text is there as well. So it says see our testimonials. If I go back and get to this, whoops. If I go back to the service widget, this is the anchor text that I customized for that. So yeah, so that's it. I just wanted to do that, drop that little reminder in about the testimonials, the tag testimonials widget. I see that William has a question. Thank you, Mike. For some reason, Mike's audio is not working. So what I'm trying to find out is where his question is. I'm not seeing it. Huh. All right, I see it. Social sharing is a great feature. Thanks for listening. I would love to see a share button for Buffer. Well, that's an interesting idea, William, because yeah, Buffer allows you to share across different services. That's a really good suggestion. Thanks for that. We'll take a look at it. And he's been using it since the first day it was launched. Awesome. I just love to hear that. It's so exciting to hear when people are using, using a new feature that we worked really hard on.
I am now unmuted finally.
Oh, okay. Hey, Mike. So I was just getting to Will's question.
Answer his last question.
Perfect. Okay. Go right ahead.
So the last question you asked about whether you could tag and only show the schema for the specific reviews. In version 1, we didn't support that because it adds to be in compliance with schema is quite complicated, and adding that in version 1 would have delayed our push of the product, so we wanted to get the product out there. So the problem revolves around the fact that schema doesn't have, for example, schemas for people or schemas for service areas, really. So they really only have schema for services and they have schema for products. When you do a product, you're obligated under the schema to include an image. And so in the first go around, we did not include product or schema, product or service schema, because of the number of variables that would have forced into the interface. But we're working through the interface issues, and in version 2, and you'll have to ask Thomas when we're pushing version 2, but in version 2, we will include the ability to identify either product or service schema, but not people or geography schema. So again, it's just a lot of it schema and a lot of compliance. So
cool. Thanks, Mike.
Answer your question.
Yeah. Well, if it didn't, Will, then feel free to chat again, and we'll get it answered. That's just we're going to continue to refine this stuff, right? We're always going to add new features and continue to refine these features. So keep that feedback coming in. And it looks like Mike, you said that helped. Perfect.
And just a quick question: we also will add the option to show responses or not. In the first version, I made the executive decision to not show owner responses on those pages, only to show them on the testimonial page. But we will include an option to show owner responses in version 2 as well.
Trying to see if any of these, I guess none of these have responses, but what Mike's talking about is
if you go to Barbara Oliver, barbaraoliverandco.com/, there you go, you'll see, and then so you'll see on hers, she has responses on everyone. And then if you go over to engagement gallery engagement, engagement rings, there you go, you'll see that they don't, even though she has responses to everything. And you scroll all the way to the bottom down, you'll see they do not have owner responses. They're just engagement-based testimonials.
Yep. So we'll be adding those responses, just we didn't put them in V1.
Well, that is a choice, right? I didn't want the responses there, so I made that decision. But I got some people wanted responses, so it'll be there as a choice.
Yep. Cool. All right. Good deal. All right, so that's the testimonial widget. A few other things we've been working on in June, just to give you, we like to, even though some of these are minor, just to let you know we've been busy. We are every month. We put together a pretty big release package every month. Working on some bigger new features, of course. Here's some other things that we did in June. We're adding customer feedback tag to the kiosk mode follow-up email, adding downloadable CSV examples in the customer uploader, adding the online review clicks and counts to the business level export, adding an email option to additional reports. We had a situation where we wanted to report in the dashboard if an SMS failed to send for some reason. So a lot of these kinds of things, auto-capitalizing the first letter of a name in the kiosk mode. So a lot of just little fit and finish things that we wanted to make sure to do. So, you know, we're going to have a release notes coming out here in the first part of July that we'll get out with more details, but I wanted to just give you a highlight there. And then just I want to go back to a comment Will made that from the previous section when we were talking about tag testimonial. He said that will be a good update. I think he's talking about the owner responses in the tag testimonial widgets. Having the owner responses are good, especially if I'm having on other agents' pages. It will be a good addition. So he's looking forward to that change. That's cool. Well, so good example of where that's a feature that Mike would have turned off in that particular case for the jeweler, but Will wants it turned on for agent pages. So yeah, cool.
Right, that would be a situation where schema wouldn't apply, but where you would, I agree, you would want owner comments because you're segmenting them by the people in your organization, and you'd want to respond back, you know, as that person, right? So there's a use case that I agree with 100% would make sense there. Yep. But again, you wouldn't have schema, or you wouldn't have schema for just the ones. There would have to be schema, aggregate schema. So a little weird.
Yep. Cool. All right, so that's all for today and updates. Any other questions from you guys, either on the tag testimonial widgets or on social sharing or on integrations? Like I said, we're hungry for integration ideas. So anytime ideas come up, even if you haven't thought them through all the way, let us know. We want to help automate this stuff. It's just better for everybody when they're automated. Results are higher. So, you know, it's a wonderful thing when you don't have to take a manual step and the feedback is just flowing through. So let us know.
And if you have a vertical industry that you're focusing on and there's a tool in that industry that all those clients are using, you know, run it by us and we'll take a look at it with you.
For sure. Yep. Great, great. All right. Well, if there are no other questions right now, then we'll wrap it up. I did recorded. Oh, I did see one question I missed before. Mark's just sent me. Sorry to keep bringing this up, but any chance a Wix widget is coming? Well, Mark, I'm so glad you asked that.
So Mark, email me, Mike at GetFiveStars. We are beta testing it now. It's working on Wix. We've tested on Wix, Weebly, ASP, Squarespace. It's working. So email me your account name and the business. I will send you the beta code. It's not white labeled at this point, but it is working. So if you'd like to test it for us, we would love that. So right now we have the main testimonial widget working, and we're fiercely working on the aggregate badge and the tagged testimonial widgets for JavaScript. One caveat about JavaScript is that you can't just drop the URL into the Google testing tool, because the Google testing tool doesn't render the JavaScript the way the search engine does. So what you have to do is inspect render the page, inspect the element in Chrome, copy the highest level HTML in that in that view, and then paste that into the code snippet section of test. So it's a little bit weird. It's not as transparent to test, but it's working well. So just Mike at GetFiveStars, tell me your account, email address, and the business you want to try it on, and I'll be glad to get you your personalized code. Only catch is it's going to say GetFiveStars on it until we move it out of beta.
Thanks for asking that, Mark. Something I forgot to bring up, that we were working on this and we're basically in testing. So it actually took a while. You know, it's funny. We tried doing, just a little backstory. We tried this almost 2 years ago to do this in JavaScript. And at that time, Google wasn't crawling it properly and it wasn't indexing properly. And that's why we did the widget that we did. And then recently, we revisited it. Mike was really pushing for it, and he saw some new developments. We revisited it, and now we're able to, it works. And what's nice about it is it's just a nice, clean JavaScript widget that's going to be faster loading. I mean, our current widget, I think, is very fast after the first load. We cache everything nicely, but you know, JavaScript's just lightweight. You can put it in any system, so it doesn't require PHP, and you still get the schema markup. And so we're really excited about that. I'm glad you brought it up. All right, cool. Well, thanks everybody for showing up. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Hopefully you got some holiday time coming up if you're in the US. Feel free to ask us any questions that come up later. We're going to share the recording here in the next day or two, and have a wonderful weekend. All right, take care.